Worldcoin token slumps amid crypto community unease, plus UK information commission to make inquiries about Worldcoin. Worldcoin, that's what it is. So this is the thing. I don't understand why this is news, okay? Anytime there's a brand new token that gets released, the people that got in on the pre-sales, they're going to dump as fast and hard as they can. They could absolutely care less about the project. You're going to see VCs do this. You're going to see everybody and their mom do it. That's called profit taking. It's ethical to an extent, okay? And you just sell a little bit of your bag, and you get your initial investment out. You get a little bit of profit. You rinse and repeat. Not financial advice, but that's what we see happen a lot. So it doesn't, I don't think that it's super crazy that the token slumps. Also, too, the token hit a high of $3.58 before dumping. I'm not shocked at all. And the project is under fire for heavily promoting itself in developing countries, which scares me a bit. And about 30% of its orb verified users are in Asia and Africa. Also, too, it's rumored that SBF was an early investor, or he was an early investor October 2021. I remember that. And of course, 3AC co-founder Kyle Davies also hinted that his firm had invested in it, which makes sense because I want to say they are the grifters of the century.
Jen?
Yeah, I'll take it away. So there's a lot going on here with the project. If we step away from the price action, the token pumping on the news, and then kind of coming back to reality, there's a lot going on here, right? You have an orb that scans your retina. Then there's the universal basic income discussion. Then there's proof of personhood. Then you have this software developer kit. We're now trying to attract developers to the ecosystem to build applications that we can now use our proof of personhood. There's a lot going on here to figure out. And I think for anyone who's just looking at this project or learning about it, it can feel very confusing and overwhelming, and you don't know what to think, and you have no control over the future of society. I get that. When we look at Vitalik's blog, Will, you brought it up on the show yesterday. I think one of the notable things he says is this isn't the first time that a company has tried to solve for proof of personhood, and so I think that we can envision a future where we need to do that because AI isn't going anywhere. And so I see the pieces of this project that could work and the pieces of this project that maybe cannot work. And I guess my takeaway here is that there's a lot of money from very smart people. I'm not including Kyle Davies in that group of very smart people that have gone into this project. There are a lot of big brains behind this project. And so I'm going to stand on the sidelines and see what happens next with it, because I don't think that they can move forward and have a product that incorporates all of those things that I just mentioned. I think that they will choose a direction and go in that direction, and maybe it's not going to be as scary as we think. That said, Wendy, some of the news that came out about, I don't want to say grifting, but
I'll say it for
people,
you.
Okay, you say it for you. Yeah,
everybody who is invested in this project, they are riding the grift. Worldcoin is a grift. What they're trying to do is not going to come to fruition until they have backing from WEF and all those other.
That's the thing, right? I think there's a lot to happen here when it comes to regulation, when it comes to governments, when it comes to protecting people, when it comes to making people are aware of what they are giving away for what they're getting in return. I think there's a lot. But Will, what do you got?
Yeah, I want to point to a tweet that Dylan LeClaire, as a Bitcoin analyst, put out there talking about the circulating supply of this token. It's really important because we often see this with early tokens out there, especially ones that do have a history of being grift tokens. And that's a small circulating supply is initially distributed, and then a large amount of the token holdings are kept in reserves, either for the founding team, for investors, or for a future community, quote unquote. In this instance, we see only 1% of the Worldcoin tokens have been issued, and those that have been issued today are people who have signed up. So you get one Worldcoin token when you sign up, and then also some of the early team, which are locked into a 1-year vesting schedule. So often in crypto, we see this idea of tokenomics, where it's hey, we have a supply of tokens. We want to issue it to a community. How do we do this in the most fair way possible? This allocation almost seems to look like the opposite, whereas how can we do this in the most unfair way possible? Doesn't seem like there's a lot of utility. Does seem like there's some interest in the token itself because it's associated with Sam Altman, it's associated with OpenAI, it's associated with AI itself. So there's interest in the token. And now we're seeing some wild price action. No, it's not as drastic as a bull market, but there's some crazy price talking about it right now, for instance. And I think that sort of ties back into the fact that the supply dynamics here are not great. The allocations are not great. The issuance is not great. And it's going to hurt people in the long run if that isn't settled correctly. And that's just pulling on the history of a lot of these tokens, right? We've had thousands of token launches in the past, and things that mirror this token launch end up not working so great. Wendy?
I agree with everything you said 100%. The only positive I see about this token or this project that could potentially help it do well and actually have real world utility. Like, I don't think they need a token. I guess it's like a cool thing they can have in their little ecosystem. But if they're trying to be like the one-stop shop for Web3, because essentially that's what they're trying to do, but in a censorship type of way, I guess it's kind of cool. But realistically, I think that because the AI god, Mr. Sam, is a part of it, I feel like they might have a chance to actually be integrated into real world utility. But at the same time, I have a very hard time seeing that play out, because generally these large organizations, these public servants, they like to have complete control of the situation, unless it's going to be like the Twitter relationship between Jack and the public servants. But you never know what could happen. But I really liked your commentary on the tokenomics. Those are things that we talk about all the time on my show. And we always tell people to be careful and understand there's always other people on the side of the trade that may not be operating as ethically as you may. So just be cautious and understand the risks.